Hello, in this video we're going to walk through how I made this. As you might have guessed from the thumbnail, for this camera angle, I used the Ableton Move, my Modular rack, and the Teenage Engineering TX6 to make this happen. The best way I've found that the Move works with the Modular is I just pick one channel and use the MIDI. There's not even a way to use more than one channel, so it's kind of like I discovered something I didn't. So channel 1 on the Move is my drum kit. Channel 2 is an E piano. Channel 3 is a chord, or a pad, sorry. And then channel 4 is whatever patch was there, it's nothing, it's, well, let me rephrase that. It is playing the BIA, which is not the BIA, it is still flashed with the firmware of the Incus Iteritas Alia. That's the brief overview of the Move. So next is the TX6. Channel 1 is everything that's happening from the Move. Channel 2 is my clouds, which the patch is Plats, Ripples, Clouds. And then channel 3 is BIA, Viol, Ruina, to Veils, to MFX, which was a very fast way to overview also what the Modular is doing and all the craziness. The drums, I actually just left the kit basically what it was, and I changed the reverb to my liking. So it's very straightforward. The drum beat is a pretty, I wouldn't say standard drum beat, but recently I've been doing more like quarter time drum beats and stuff, and this kind of falls in the same realm. I have a few different clips. Basically the clips just build up, and then I go back to the chorus, or the main riff, the main idea. I'll play through each of the clips. This one's the same as this first one. I'm using a reverb and the saturator that was already, the saturator was already on it, the reverb was not. The reverb, I wanted it to be very dark, so I lowered the high shelf to 0.24. And that's, as far as like other sounds with it, it's not like massively special. Pre-delays at 10 milliseconds, pretty wide stereo image. The in filter is at 1K, and that's pretty much it. The lo-fi piano is, I added a reverb. To be honest, this is whatever lo-fi piano sample I found, and then I did not adjust this. Oh, you know what? I did turn the LFO on all the way, and the filter resonance pretty high, and the filter frequency to 1K, so. Let's see if I lower the frequency. Yeah, okay, that's what I figured. So it's not super bright. What if I turn this off for the LFO? It adds a little more character. that is the piano. This is actually the sound where I started from for this whole thing. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Shows you how good I am at playing these pads. I did change the unison a little bit. And then I cranked the image, stereo image of the reverb, and I don't think I changed anything else. Yeah, my favorite thing about the Move is that I was really skeptical when they first were like, oh, it's always going to populate stuff for you. And to be honest, it populated kind of weird, like jazzy guitar things, which is fine, but it's not where my head was going today. And I think I just stumbled into this patch. So yeah, it took me longer to find the key. I'm in the key of F sharp major, which I've been liking major recently. I know I've said that in a few videos, but previous to the last like 6 months, I haven't cared about major at all. And then, like I said, this last one is nothing with the Move outside of it exists. So this patch is going into the modular. Like I had mentioned in the Explore video, that looks really similar to the way I have this set up because I left the setup and I wanted to create something new because I was determined to not live in the I couldn't get the Move to talk nice with plats. If you notice, I didn't get it to talk nice with plats. Channel 4 of the Move is going into the U MIDI, and it's running clock and sync, or sorry, clock and run. And then I am running the actual pitch and trigger to BIA, which is Incus Iteritas Alia, the anvil one, not the drum one. The settings are as you see it, which took me quite a while to get it to be something that kind of fits the amorphous-y kind of flowy sound, but I got somewhere that I really like. And ironically, or interestingly, the sound itself is not nearly as cool without their filter. The mangle of their filter is actually doing a lot. So I'll show you what I mean. So here is, I'll just play it. Oh, hold please. So you'll be surprised to see it's actually a lot more of the filter than it is the patch. So if I go here, this is the sound without the filter. Pretty crazy, right? Now you might be like, well, yeah, because like when you mess with the filter, it makes it crazy. But if I turn the mangle down on the filter, it basically is just nothing. Oh, sorry, it's also the mod, which makes it like way quieter. It really ducks it. But it's very interesting the way, so I do have this routed to the in of the filter and the out of the mangle, meaning I get the filter and the mangle from this, and I'm only putting it in veils so that I can attenuate it because it was way too loud for MFX and for the mixer. I really like that these modules have an envelope output, so you can use the envelope to do things with other stuff. And I was like, oh, what if it just uses the frequency? It shifts the frequency as it plays. That would be a good open and closed, kind of act as a VCA. I did that and it was a little bit too wild, which is a lot of modular stuff. So I added it to the end of veils to attenuate it. But then if you notice, all the way off is where the frequency resonates the best. and then it softens as I open it or turn it on at all. Like right here is really cool. So I also was kind of like, well, this is slightly excessive, but I wanted a way to turn off the envelope when I could and turn it on whatever amount, insert VCA or attenuation. So now moving on to the whole reason I'm sitting here with this whole setup this specific way, I was really determined to get Move to control plats, but I kind of think that it's a little bit impossible. I know that Ableton, when you use the CV tools, requires that you attenuate the signal sending to plats or plats requires it from Ableton because it's too much CV. So that's how I'm able to sync it with Ableton, and it works really well. Here, I could not get it to work. I tried going straight from the pitch into plats. I tried going pitch to veils to scales to plats, tried pitch to scales to veils to plats. Nothing worked. So in that, I decided, well, why don't I make use of what I know works, which is what I did. And then I was like, you know what I've had fun with? And the first way I really dove back into modular stuff was with Pam's Pro Workout, which I absolutely love. And so I have a channels 1, well, really everything except channel 3 is just controlling pitch and gate of plats. So channel 1 is sending pitch, channel 2 is sending gate, and then channel 8 is sending just a trigger on basically a clock. I'm just triggering scales to make sure that every time a note is supposed to hit, it's changing the note that it's playing, which is part of the way scales works. It'll slide notes when it hears it versus if you trigger it and tell it every time you give it a trigger. I'm explaining how a trigger works. If you have scales, if you've been using scales and you want it to be tighter, put something in the trigger. My channel 1 of Pam's is at 1.5 bars, the clock of the move. So is channel 2, and so is channel 3. Channel 2 and 3 are nearly the same thing. I'll get to channel 3 after I explain 1 and 2. 1, I am using the curved random shape, which I probably don't need to be using the curved random going into a pitch, but it works, so I'm not going to change it. I have it quantized to major, and scales is an F sharp major, which is the key of what I was writing, and this is the only way to get Pam's to be in a specific key, not just a specific type of key. I have a Euclidean step of 12 with the triggers of 7 with an 89% probability and a level of 15, so it doesn't go too crazy with the pitch. And that's it. I don't know why I went through it backwards, but I did. Now channel 2, I'm using as the amplifier, which I'm using this shape. I don't remember what it's called, but it looks like an attack release shape. And I have the width at 22%, probability 86, Euclidean 16 with 7 triggers. And that's it for that one. And so that is how I'm getting this randomization of so it's randomly playing all of these twinklies in key to give a little spice to the stuff I wrote with the move. You can see the plat settings. It's nothing too crazy. The audio is going plats, ripples, clouds, and then into the TX6. Now, channel 3 is clocking the quad LFO so that it triggers the frequency filter on ripples, or the frequency knob, sorry, on ripples to move. I don't think it's every time. No, it's once every four, once every 4 steps of 1.5 the tempo. I'm not even gonna bother trying to count how that works. But it's so pretty, and you know, most of that's due to clouds. But this is really the flow of it. It looks like a lot's happening right here. I mean, I guess it doesn't really look like that much from the video, but it feels like there's a lot of things patched and happening, but it's really a pretty straightforward patch. If you already have scales, this doesn't mean very much of anything, but something I always forget is you have to tune your oscillator, which mine is Platts, to middle C. Otherwise, Scales does not send the right pitches, which I've learned. I forgot to go over MFX and how I'm using MFX for the bass sound. So let's go back to the bass sound. It is on the Alnicon reverb. It was the Dark Dream setting, but I changed all the settings in it, so, you know, there's that. I have the size at 81%, damped a little bit, diffused a little bit, 80s era, that's what all the grainy noise is, and the mix is at 70%. I also was having a little bit of a frustrating time getting this sound to not sound so sharp and so harsh. And the best way I could do it is like breaking the rule that I usually have when it comes to a reverb or a delay, is you don't need to use it at 70% or anything crazy. You could use it like 30, 40, 50, but this was the only way that I was able to get it to fit in the mix and not feel so crazy. The last step, I guess, that I have going on is the top row on my TX6 is set to their filter, their high pass, low pass filter. And that's kind of it. I just turn it how I need to. There's no other special routing or anything crazy happening that you're not seeing around the camera. This is it. This is exactly it. I really appreciate you being here and watching these videos. I hope you like this. If you do, please like, please subscribe. I'm starting to release new music again, which is really cool, not just specifically in these YouTube videos like this. I actually just released, to the date of this releasing, last week, I released the first song I've written and been happy to release in 5 years, and I couldn't be happier, and I have a couple more on the way. If you haven't, I would be so grateful if you check it out. But outside of that, until next time, thanks for being here.